The Kiev region was attacked by 2 waves of kamikaze drones. So far there is no damage. Oleksiy Kuleba, chairman of the Kiev Regional Military Administration, stated this on the air of the United News National Telethon, Ukrinform reports. From 6 in the morning there was an air raid in the Kiev region, but the air defense was working. We have no raids and destruction in the area. The situation is calm, stable, Kuleba said. He noted that in the morning it was an attack by kamikaze drones, and there were 2 waves of them. Other funds in the Kiev region were not used. The head of the KOVA noted that now the enemy is directing his efforts precisely at critical infrastructure facilities. We have strengthened the defense of the area, created additional funds, but the war continues, and the risk of shelling remains, Kuleba added. As Ukrinform reported, as of 9 o'clock, 4 enemy strikes were recorded in Kiev. There is a collision in a residential building in the Shevchenko district. From under the rubble of a residential building in Kiev, where an explosion occurred due to an enemy attack by kamikaze drones, the body of a woman was removed. Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko announced this in his telegram, Ukrinform reports. From under the rubble of a house in the Shevchenko district, where an explosion occurred as a result of a drone attack, they removed the body of a dead woman, Klitschko said. Another person is under the rubble. The mayor of Kiev noted that search and rescue work continues. 3 victims have already been hospitalized. As Ukrinform reported, as of 9 o'clock, 4 enemy strikes were recorded in Kiev. There are hits in a residential building in the Shevchenko district. The Russian military can learn about the terms of surrender through social networks. According to Ukrinform, this was reported in the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. According to the main intelligence directorate, the website of the Ukrainian state project, I Want to Live, was blocked in the Russian Federation, through which Russian servicemen were asked to submit an application for surrender to the armed forces of Ukraine. As Ukrinform reported, in a video message dated October 15, President Volodymyr Zelensky called for the surrender of Russians who do not want to participate in the criminal war against Ukraine. In the Donetsk region, fighters of the DSHV of the Armed Forces of Ukraine destroyed 2 floating armored personnel carriers MTLB of the Russian invaders. According to Ukrinform, the DSHV command announced this on Telegram. In the Donetsk region, in one of the areas where the tasks were carried out, the fighters of the 79th Separate Airborne Assault Brigade of the Airborne Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine enchantingly burned 2 enemy multi-purpose lightly armored tractors. This was due to additional reconnaissance carried out in advance and the artillery unit providing the exact coordinates of the military equipment of the Russian invaders, the message says. As Ukrinform reported, from February 24 to October 17, the defenders of Ukraine eliminated about 65,320 Russian invaders, also destroyed 2,537 tanks, 5,205 armored combat vehicles, 1,599 artillery systems and other enemy equipment. Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal said that the Russians launched rocket attacks on critical facilities in the Kiev, Dnipropetrovsk and Sumy regions. He wrote about this in Telegram, Ukrinform reports. Currently, all services are working to eliminate the consequences of shelling and restore power supply. Each region has a crisis response plan. And we ask Ukrainians to stabilize the energy system in the same unified and conscious approach to economical consumption of electricity. Especially during peak hours, the message says. Shmyhal recalled that on Monday morning, Russian terrorists once again attacked the energy infrastructure of Ukraine in 3 regions. In particular, 5 drone strikes were recorded in Kiev. Energy facilities and a residential building were damaged. The aggressor also launched rocket attacks on life support facilities in the Dnipropetrovsk and Sumy regions. Hundreds of settlements were de-energized as a result of the shelling. As Ukrinform reported, as of 9 o'clock, 4 enemy strikes were recorded in Kiev. There are hits in a residential building in the Shevchenko district. The body of a dead woman was recovered from under the rubble of the house. Another person is under the rubble. The troops of the Russian Federation do not stop attacking the regions of Ukraine, massively using Shahid-136 kamikaze drones. According to Ukrinform, this is stated in the summary information of the regional military administrations on the situation in the regions of Ukraine as of Monday morning, October 17. In the morning, Kiev and the region were attacked by enemy kamikaze drones. 2 Russian rockets fell on Zaporizhia at night, but there were no injuries or casualties. In the Sumy region this morning, the Russians launched a missile attack on critical infrastructure facilities in the Romny district. There are dead and wounded. Over the past day, the enemy shelled the villages of the Velikopizarevskia community from Gradov and mortars. Damaged agricultural enterprise. Belopolskia embankment was fired from mortars twice. The most important infrastructure was damaged. Yesterday the enemy opened fire on the village of Krasnopolskia from the Russian side with machine gun bursts. There are no victims. Russian troops attacked the Dnipropetrovsk region at night with rockets, grads and heavy artillery. 3 rockets were shot down by the Ukrainian military. 1 rocket hit an energy infrastructure facility. All relevant services are in place. In the Nikopol area, the enemy fired at the Marganets and Chervonogrigorov masses from grads and heavy artillery. Initially, no people were hurt. There are damaged houses. The details of the attack are being investigated. In the Kharkiv region, during the day, the Russians fired mortars and rocket-propelled artillery at settlements along the line of contact and the border with the Russian Federation. In particular, Volchansk in the Chugovsky district and the villages of the Volchansky community, the village of Dvureknoy in the Kupiansky district, the village of Kazakya Lopan in the Kharkov region and others were hit. A 45-year-old woman died in the Kharkiv region. A 47-year-old woman was hospitalized with injuries. 2 people were hospitalized with injuries in the Izyumsky district. 1 person was hospitalized in the Kupiansky district. Demoning continues in the area. During the day, pyrotechnics of the State Emergency Service neutralized 630 explosive objects. In the Lugansk region, Russian troops shelled Grakovka, Novohorivka and Belagorovka, and they do not stop shelling the recently liberated villages. Over the past 24 hours, the armed forces of Ukraine have carried out more than 30 strikes along the line of contact. The defeat of 25 areas of concentration of weapons and equipment, as well as 6 positions of enemy anti-aircraft missile systems was confirmed. Also, air defense units shot down 15 enemy UAVs. Over the past day, Ukrainian rocket troops and artillery struck 2 command posts, 1 air defense position and 1 ammunition depot. In response, the enemy launched 3 air and 2 missile strikes, fired 16 times at the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine from artillery and mortars. In the Donetsk region, the aggressors fired at a ceramic factory in Slavyansk at night. No casualties. The enemy is firing artillery along the entire front line. Over the past day in the Donetsk region, 4 people were killed, 10 were injured. Last night, Russian troops attacked the Nikolaev region with the help of Shahid-136 kamikaze drones. 11 of them were shot down. At night, the enemy attacked Nikolaev with the help of Shahid-136 kamikaze drones. According to Operational Command South, 3 drones hit industrial infrastructure and a pharmaceutical warehouse. Fires broke out at the impact sites, which were quickly contained. According to preliminary data, no victims. The Berezhnegovatskaya community remains under constant shelling. At night, the Russians fired between the 2 settlements. There are raids on the agricultural enterprise. There were no casualties. Detailed information is being specified. In the Kherson region, according to information from OK-Yug, the Russians are actively defending themselves along the entire line of contact. In order to clarify the positions of Ukrainian troops and adjust artillery fire, the enemy continues to use unmanned aerial vehicles in the Berislav and Kherson regions. The occupiers are intensifying filtration measures in the Kherson region and have begun the process of evacuating the so-called state institutions. Artillerymen and missilemen of the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed 2 ammunition depots in the Berislav region. Work continues to restore the settlements of the Kherson region liberated from Russians. Relevant services are working, explosive experts are examining the territories. Relatively calm, without shelling, the night passed in other regions of Ukraine. As a result of the Russian attack, energy facilities in the north and in the center of Ukraine were damaged. NPC Ukrenergo does not exclude the use of emergency shutdown schedules for consumers. According to Ukrinform, this was reported by the press service of the company in Telegram. As a result of the terrorist attack, energy infrastructure facilities in the central and northern regions of Ukraine were damaged, the statement said. It is noted that repair teams are already working on the ground. The control center of Ukrenergo does not exclude the possibility of introducing emergency shutdown schedules. Therefore, it is important to observe the mode of economical consumption of electricity throughout the country, especially in the evening, the company stressed. As reported, on the morning of October 17, the Russians attacked a number of objects on the territory of Ukraine with kamikaze drones and Iranian-made missiles. In particular, Kiev was attacked. As a result of the attack of Russian drones on Kiev, several people were killed. Interior Minister Denis Monastyrsky stated this in a commentary to journalists, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. 18 people were rescued from a residential building. There are several dead, he said. According to the minister, rescuers continue to dismantle the rubble of the destroyed house, and in an hour and a half the final consequences will be clear. In addition, as a result of the drone attack, 2 rescuers from the capital were injured, Monastyrsky added. He also said that a man was killed in the Sumy region as a result of an attack by Russian drones. Today we are talking about the dead not only in Kiev, but also in other cities. In particular, in the Sumy region there is also a person who died from a drone strike, he said. According to the minister, an attack of about 40 drones was recorded today, 5 of which flew to the capital. As reported, on Monday morning in Kiev, one of the drones hit a residential building. The body of a dead woman was recovered from under the rubble, and another person is under the rubble. The U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, after the attacks of Russian kamikaze drones on Kiev, assured that support for Ukraine would continue as long as necessary. This is stated in the message of the diplomatic department on Twitter, Ukrinform reports. This morning Russia carried out another desperate and heinous attack on civilians and civilian infrastructure. We admire the strength and resilience of the Ukrainian people. We will be with you for as long as you need, the message says. As reported, 4 attacks on the enemy by kamikaze drones were recorded on Monday morning in Kiev. There was an attack in a residential building. 18 people were rescued from a residential building in the Shevchenkovsky district of Kiev, where an explosion occurred due to an enemy attack by kamikaze drones. Later, the mayor of Kiev, Vitaly Klitschko, said that the body of a dead woman was removed from the rubble of the house, and another person remained under the rubble. In the center of Kiev, traffic was blocked on sections of several streets. In Kiev, under the rubble of a residential building destroyed as a result of an attack by enemy kamikaze drones in the Shevchenkovsky district, 2 dead were identified. Deputy head of the office of the President Kyrylo Tymoshenko announced this on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. According to him, at the moment, 19 people have been rescued, 4 injured, 2 people died. The aftermath continues. As Ukrinform reported, according to Interior Minister Denis Monastyrsky, several people were killed in an attack by Russian drones on the morning of October 17 in Kiev. They also managed to save a woman blocked on the 3rd floor of a high-rise building. Mrs. Anna, saved. They got them from the 3rd floor of the emergency building, Tymoshenko said. According to Interior Minister Denis Monastyrsky, on the morning of October 17, several people were killed in Kiev as a result of a Russian drone attack. In connection with the shelling of the metropolitan infrastructure with drones, a criminal case has been opened on the fact of violating the laws and customs of war associated with a premeditated murder. As Ukrinform reported, as of 9 o'clock, 4 enemy strikes were recorded in Kiev. There are hits in a residential building in the Shevchenko district. Ukraine is negotiating assistance in defense against kamikaze drones. Interior Minister Denis Monastyrsky stated this in a commentary to journalists, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. We are asking countries to help protect against drones. And such negotiations are already underway so that it is provided not only to the capital, but to all cities that are under attack by drones, he said. As Ukrinform reported, on October 17, about 40 drones attacked Ukraine, 5 of which flew to Kiev. As a result of the shelling in the capital, infrastructure facilities and a residential building were destroyed. There are dead and wounded. The death toll from a kamikaze drone that crashed into a residential building in Kiev has risen to 3 people. 19 people were rescued. Deputy head of the office of the President Kirill Tymoshenko announced this on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. Kiev. At the moment, the death toll as a result of a kamikaze drone raid on a residential building has increased to 3. 19 people have been rescued. Work continues, he said. Later it became known that among the ruins of a residential building in Kiev, the bodies of a husband and wife who were expecting a child were found. This was announced by the mayor of Kiev Vitaly Klitschko in his telegram. In the course of search and rescue operations in a residential building in the center, where the Russian drone hit, the bodies of 3 dead civilians were recovered, Klitschko said. Among them is a young couple, a husband and wife who are expecting a baby. The woman was 6 months pregnant. Russia is a terrorist country, once again stressed Klitschko. As Ukrinform reported, 4 strikes by Russian kamikaze drones were recorded in Kiev on Monday. There is a collision in a residential building in the Shevchenko district. The state concern Ukroboronprom announced the completion of the development of a new type of weapon. According to Ukrinform, this was reported by Ukroboronprom on Facebook. Range, 1,000 kilometers, warhead weight, 75 kilograms. We are completing the development, the message says. It is noted that today Kiev was once again attacked by Garin, 2 attack drones, known as Shahid-136. Most of the enemy UAVs were successfully destroyed, but not all. As Ukroboronprom notes, the armed forces of Ukraine win on the battlefield, so attacks by air, mopeds, are nothing but the agony of the Russian Federation. Intimidation, terror of civilians are their low methods. The Russians will not break either our plans or our spirit, the civil code emphasized. It is noted that Ukroboronprom has been working in an enhanced mode since the beginning of a full-scale invasion. We won't tell you practically anything, you need to, believe me, but this, nothing, works successfully on the battlefield, and some other, nothing, passes successful tests every time. You say it's not enough. We agree, therefore we prefer to work 24/7 than to fill the media space with loud statements, the company said in a statement. As Ukrinform reported, on the morning of October 17, the enemy attacked Kiev with kamikaze drones. According to Mayor Vitaly Klitschko, the explosions took place in the center of the capital. Several houses were damaged. As of 9 o'clock, 4 enemy strikes were recorded on the capital. There is a collision in a residential building in the Shevchenko district. 18 people were rescued from a residential building in the Shevchenkovsky district of Kiev, where an explosion occurred due to an enemy attack by kamikaze drones. Under the rubble of a destroyed house in Kiev, 2 dead were found. On Monday morning, Russia attacked Ukraine with 42 drones, 36 of which were shot down. Minister of the Interior Denis Monastyrsky said this on the air of the telethon, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. This morning, 42 drones attacked Ukraine, of which 36 were shot down, that is, the vast majority of drones, he said. The minister added that about 30 drones were sent to Kiev, of which 25 were shot down by the armed forces of Ukraine. According to Monastyrsky, this indicates that the massive attack staged by Russia did not achieve its goal. The attack was supposed to be surpassed last Monday when there were rocket attacks, but this did not happen, he said. On Monday morning, Russia attacked Ukraine with 42 drones, 36 of which were shot down. Minister of the Interior Denis Monastyrsky said this on the air of the telethon, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. This morning, 42 drones attacked Ukraine, of which 36 were shot down, that is, the vast majority of drones, he said. The minister added that about 30 drones were sent to Kiev, of which 25 were shot down by the armed forces of Ukraine. According to Monastyrsky, this indicates that the massive attack staged by Russia did not achieve its goal. The attack was supposed to be repulsed last Monday when there were rocket attacks, but this did not happen, he said.